Well, let's get stuck straight into it then. So with Chesterfield away tomorrow night, I'm sure there's no easy time to go to Chesterfield, but it seems at the moment maybe a little bit of time of transition for them with a change of manager, results not quite going as well as they have of late. What's your assessment of where they are at the moment?
Yeah, I mean, obviously they've had a great season to this point. I mean, even though one or two results of late probably haven't gone their way, but they were a bit unlucky against Solihull. Thought they started the game brilliantly, and then man sent off changed the game. And of course they were down, so can't take too many reference points from that. But yeah, they've a few injuries and with the suspension of Weston, I think obviously it's one or two results that they probably don't like. And there's a change. I think there's a change of style. I think they were quite direct, 3-5-2 under James Rowe, and now they've shifted to Paul Cook. I think Paul probably wants to play more ball on the floor, passing style, similar to ourselves. So there's a bit of a transition, system changes. So I can see that, but at the same time, they've got a vastly experienced coach in there. Michael Doyle knows him very well, played many years, so and speaks very highly of him. And they've still got a very strong squad and are in a good position in the league. So going away there at any point is a very difficult game.
As a head coach, when you're with the players before the game, do you, in a game like this, when you're going away from home against a team up there in the table, do you kind of big them up? Do you big it up, or do you sort of calm it down ahead what everybody kind of knows is such an important game near the top of the table?
Yeah, I don't need to really. I think the players know that it's an important game. It's a local game as well. That obviously there's a big interest from the fans. So I don't think that I need to do too much of that. I have to focus on just the right messages to the players, what we need them to do to perform. I think we're in a good place at the moment, performance-wise. I think we played some really good games of late. And yeah, we're just happy that the games are coming now. We had that period where we didn't have many, and now we're getting a lot. And I think we're really enjoying it. Came in today and I was just happy to be in the building, like preparing for another game again tomorrow. And just thinking, I can't wait for another match to come around. So I think the players feel like that, and that's a good place to be.
That little run of results you've had started with that Barnet game, and I just wonder how significant that was, that you not only that won that game, but you got a load of goals, and it just seems that might have really helped to kick-start things. Would you agree?
Yeah, I think we really harboured a bit of frustration over like the fixture pile up and all the disappointment around cancelled games and things like that. We probably put it all out on the pitch that night. Barnet's kind of unfortunately for Barnet, but everything that we wanted to do came off in that game, and yeah, it was really good for us. I think the players just needed that. We kind of felt we'd had games early in the season where we performed well, sometimes not always got the result or only just won the game. We kind of said, look, we do feel like we've got the capacity to run over a team. And then when we did it, I think that gave a newfound kind of confidence and belief in the boys. And since then, they've really kicked on.
Yeah, and it seems like, and I haven't seen every game obviously, but it just seems like at the weekend, you go away and you get another clean sheet as well, which is significant. Something you've been waiting ages for, and it's a second now in the space of just a few games. I wonder how significant that element is as well.
Yeah, and I know, of course, we had the goal against Halifax, which was a bit of a freak goal and a mistake there. But other than that, I think we've only conceded maybe one shot on target in 3 games. Eastleigh had no chances. Woking had no chances. Halifax just had the one. So I think just from it's not only just the clean sheets, but I just think we've not been conceding too many chances. We've been very, very well organised in what we've been doing, and that's something that we've worked on. But again, Chesterfield posed a different problem. A lot of good players, a lot of good attacking players, and we'll have to be absolutely at the top for kind of organisation without the ball to make sure that we reduce them to limited chances.
And we've seen the benefit of your squad as well. We talked, about Eli Sam before, but then you've got Aaron Naman coming into the team and making such a big impact and having a hand in both of the goals. That's significant, isn't it? Especially at this stage of the season where players who've not played that much come in and can make such a big impact for you.
Yeah, and I think that's a credit in general to their application in training, because unless you apply yourself every day in training, regardless of your disappointment of not playing. If you train really well, then you're ready. And like today, I've watched the session, and obviously the boys that didn't play the weekend did a little bit more, pushing each other, some staying out, doing some extra work, and I think that's credit to them, because when we talk to them, we just say, look, we want to be ready, and they'll know every single player is going to have a part to play if we're going to be successful at some point. So Aaron's a good example of that. He came in at the weekend. He hasn't played as much as he'd like to have done, but the opportunity came and then he took it, and I thought he was excellent.
That's great, Ian. Thank you very much. That's what I need today, Lee.
No worries.
Ian, I just wanted to ask you about, obviously, with Chesterfield tomorrow, you signed a couple of Chesterfield players in the summer in Cairo Mitchell and Joel Taylor. It was interesting because there was a piece that one of the papers did with Matt Targett, and how Eddie Howard had asked him about Aston Villa players. I just wondered whether you'd lent on Cairo Mitchell and Joel Taylor to get him to give you the inside track on some of the Chesterfield players.
We probably did it a bit more earlier, so we had those discussions when we were due to play them back in December, but obviously the game was off, and that was also partly because Cairo played under the former coach and the system and the way that they set things up. Obviously it's a new coach now, and probably a slightly different style of play, and so we're working hard now to look at the last few games since Paul came into the club, just to see what differences there are, that things that we can pick up on.
How difficult is that when you've got a new, when you're so used to expecting like a James Rowe team, and then obviously he goes, a new manager comes in. What sort of challenges does that present to a manager when you're preparing for a game?
It's just a different style, and it definitely is a different style. Obviously Doyle knows Paul Cook really well, and like I say, speaks highly of him in the way that he wants his teams to play football, and I would say that he would certainly want the ball a bit more on the floor and a bit more patient. But that's not in a negative way, because they did brilliant success before, playing with the two strikers and going up from back to front really quickly, high energy, high pressing. So there is a differences there. But for me, it's just each game comes and you analyse the team as they are. So we have to analyse them as a Paul Cook Chesterfield now, which is adapted a little bit, system and style.
How much are you relishing it? I know we spoke earlier on in the season, we were talking about the Grimsby game, but I think this one, when both sides are fairly local and in the thick of a promotion race, it takes on it can provide much bigger headlines.
Yeah, well, we're all in it for the big games, they're these are the most fun ones. As soon as the Woking game finished, we were all excited about the prospect of playing in this, because we know we're going to take a lot of fans. Sure, they'll have a lot of fans there, and there'll be a great atmosphere. So it's going to be a game with I think two top teams in this division, and it's a lot of good players on the pitch. So it's going to be hopefully a really entertaining game.
Have you sensed a buzz among the players about this game?
No more than normal. They're very focused. We were in today just reviewing the Woking game this morning, and we're just focusing on what we did well and what things we need to do even better tomorrow, and that's it really. I think we're very they're in the zone at the moment, I think. Yeah,
you could see that, couldn't you, at the weekend? In fact, you could probably see that from the Barnet game onwards. They seem to have really hit a good rich vein of form.
I think so. I think that's the biggest thing for me, is that performances have been consistently good. Even though, Halifax home, we don't win, but I still think we maintain quite a good level of performance, and I think that's important. We haven't kind of floundered through a game yet. We haven't had many this season where I think we've underperformed and got a result. So, but I do think we've been quite consistent with the way we've played the last few weeks.
And just I wanted to ask you about Callum Roberts, because I know you touched upon it after the game on Saturday. How is he doing? Will he be available for selection Tuesday?
He did some training today, and then we'll probably test him tomorrow morning. I'd say 50-50 at the moment.